There's so much emotionally charged hype out there designed to sell newspapers and advertising rather than inform investors and traders. Want entertainment? Buy a newspaper or magazine or turn on the news. Want investment and trading concepts explained? Look to TechniTrader. TechniTrader is the gold standard in trading and investing education taught by experienced and accredited professionals. Don't learn to trade from fad-chasing day traders, and certainly don't think you can grow your portfolio by attending a weekend seminar or watching a free video online. Success in the financial markets is attainable, but like any high-paying profession, it requires the proper education to achieve consistent success. Join those happy few who've taken their investing and trading seriously. Call 888-846-5577 or visit technitrader.com.
Good morning, everyone. We're going to talk about financial education and why there isn't any for the average person, and there should be. There is a common theme that runs constantly, and I was asked a question the other day that I think is a good one, and that is, what if everyone knew about the stock market, understood about stocks and investing? What would happen to the market? If there was going to be a downturn, or would everybody pull their money out and that would collapse the market? What would happen if everyone was really knowledgeable about the stock market and how to invest? Because 90% of the population is not well educated, doesn't understand the market, and is scared to death of it. I just had a new student who remarked, he's 25, and he just remarked that all of his friends think he's crazy. They're scared to death of the market. And here he is learning about the stock market when he's young because he wants to have financial security. He wants to take care of himself. He wants to know that he doesn't have to have an hourly job, that he can have the things that he wants and also pursue the career that he wants in addition. And this is a very, very wise young man. He's being cautious. He's learning about the stock market in the right way, and he will be successful. Most people aren't successful in the stock market because they rush to buy a stock before they have any idea of what they're doing. They feel a bit of entitlement that is perpetuated by the financial industry. They want people to believe that they should just be told what to buy, and this is something that happens a lot. You need to ask yourself one big question that most people don't even consider, and that is, we are one of the wealthiest countries in the world. We have a huge middle class. We have excellent schools. We have all kinds of opportunities for our young people, and we are the fastest growing economy in the world right now because we are expanding our economy while other economies like China are contracting. So why, after 100 and some odd years of the New York Stock Exchange stock market, are there no or very few stock market courses taught in high school? Why isn't there a regular curriculum that at some point in high school and in college it is a prerequisite to take financial courses that teach you about the stock market, that teach you about investing, that teaches you about mutual funds, that teaches you what you need to know so that you can have financial security? Don't you think it seems rather odd that we do not have any programs in our schools to teach about finances? We teach kids how to do higher math. We teach them about science. We tell them they need to go to college and get a bachelor's degree. We tell them they need to go into medical or healthcare because that's where the future is. But we do not teach them how to be financially secure. Isn't that very odd? In fact, most people feel that that's something they should just turn over to somebody else because they can't learn it, shouldn't learn it, or don't have time to learn it. Now, doesn't that seem odd? We teach people how to drive a car. We teach people how to use a computer. We teach people how to use all kinds of things. And yet we completely lack any education that's formal and consistent and everybody learns that is about finances and the financial markets. And the financial markets are gigantic. There is $90 trillion of assets. I'm saying trillion. $90 trillion in assets under management worldwide by the mutual funds and pension funds. That's astounding amount of money under assets under management. So why is it that there are no regular high school or college courses for the average everyday person? I'm not talking about a financial services bachelor's degree or an economics degree, because most people wouldn't use those. Very few people would go into the financial services industries. It doesn't hire a lot of people, and they mostly come out of the Ivy League schools and go into Goldman Sachs and places like that. Well, I'm talking about everyday financial education. Why isn't there any education in high school that teaches you about the stock market? If you don't think that's odd, I'm wondering why. Because that is very odd. And I think the answer is that there's so much money to be made when people don't know what they're doing and they rely heavily like a child to a parent on someone else to advise them, and those advisors make a lot of money off of that. And I think if you stopped and really thought about it, everybody in your family needs to be educated about the stock market. And you can't get it from outdated books that were written 50 years ago or even 20 years ago, because the market structure has changed more in the last decade than it did in the prior 100 years. And it's still changing. You need to have a foundation of education, and you need to have all of your children learn financial information. They need to understand what's going on. I think it's very sad when young adults are terrified of the stock market. And yet the stock market is where a lot of people have made their fortunes. Certainly every great businessman, Vanderbilt, Ford, and all the others invested in the stock market. Buffett, Gates. They didn't make just their money in their businesses. They also made it by investing in the stock market and being very savvy and very wise about it. So how did they do it? How did they learn this if it's not taught anywhere? It should be taught in high schools. It should be taught in colleges. And it's not. Just for the everyday person, not for somebody who wants to be a trader on Wall Street or whatever. No, just for everyday people. They should learn about it. I know that all the great wealthy men in the world invest in the stock market and other assets, and they're very savvy about it. Why are they so successful in the stock market when other people are not? The one reason is they understand business, because the stock market is the business of businesses. And it's just that simple. And if you understand business cycles, and how things work, and what makes people want to invest in a company, especially if they're very wise and savvy investors like the mutual fund managers and the wealthy billionaires of the world, and all of the wise people who have a lot of knowledge and experience in the stock market, they do very, very well. Yes, there's a lot of greed, and yes, there's a lot of corruption. But if you look at any industry, if you look at any area of our society, there's a certain percentage of criminal activity, of speculation, of corruption. It's everywhere. And the stock market doesn't have an extraordinary amount of it. It has the average amount of criminal activity that's found everywhere in our society. It's just that it's such a spectacular thing to talk about on the news that it comes to the news forefront often, because people are very curious about people who make millions of dollars and then steal more billions and go to prison for it. It's fascinating reading stuff. But the stock market is filled with average people who work very hard at their jobs and do a very, very good job of what they're doing on behalf of those people who give them their money in the trust and faith that they will take care of it. I had the experience of being on a trading floor of an investment company, and it was very interesting. It was very calm. It was very quiet. And the men who were trading were very busy doing their trading, and they were very occupied with that, and they really didn't pay any attention to us. It is not like you see on TV. It's not all these people going out and partying wild and doing all these strange and corrupt things and all of that. It's ordinary people working very hard at a job. If you understood the stock market, if you understood how it really worked, you would never be afraid of it. You would understand that there are times when you should be investing and times when you should not be investing. If you understood business cycles, you would be able to anticipate when a stock was going to move out of its bottom because its company was improving, and you'd be buying along with the big mutual funds and dark pools, and you would be doing very well. But instead, most people listen on the news, they hear that Apple had great, fantastic earnings, so then they rush out to buy the stock at a really high price, super expensive, and then the stock will go down because profit taking is going to occur short term, and then they wonder why they got ripped off. You didn't get ripped off. You didn't know what you're doing. So you need to get an education, and it's a whole lot more than reading some articles on the internet or going to a weekend webinar or seminar or whatever. You really need to understand the basics of the stock market. So you need to stop investing impulsively. And even if you own a mutual fund or a pension fund, you still need to understand what's going on so that you can be prepared, because the stock market cycles with the business cycles. It always leads the economy. If the stock market is starting to move down and is peaking from the top, the economy is going to contract. It's just part of that. So you can always begin to see these things if you learn to read stock charts, and if you go beyond basic fundamentals like P/E ratios, which are so very, very basic and so very outdated that they don't give you the information that you need. You need to follow the institutions, because the institutions control 80% of the market, and what the institutions do matters. So if you followed them on the stock charts with the percent of institutions' holdings as an example, as a fundamental indicator, because now stock charts have fundamental indicators, you can see all the fundamental indicators on the chart. It is very, very sad that we don't have a society that values financial education as much as it values other forms of education. Just getting a bachelor's degree is not going to make you financially secure, and it's not necessarily going to land you the job of your dreams. You need to have more information. You need to have more education on things that are going to help you manage your finances in a way that's going to be productive for you. Yes, you can use a financial advisor. There's nothing wrong with that. There's many good financial advisors out there. But just like any industry, whether it's attorneys or any profession, there are really great ones and there are ones that are not so good. And you have to be very careful with whom you choose, because you have to know that they are honest and have integrity, but also that they have the knowledge base in which to make the judgment for you. And you can't tell them what you want if you don't understand the financial markets and what your financial goals truly are. So you will be put in a cookie cutter box, and they will try to guess what they think you need based on your age and so on. And you may have other particular needs. Education is the foundation of understanding anything, and once you understand something, the fear factor goes away. People fear what they don't know and what they don't understand, and that's why so many people are scared to death of the stock market. It's not because the stock market crashes from time to time, and I will answer the question that someone asked me. They asked me if everyone had an education about the stock market, then wouldn't everybody be pulling their money out and being panicky? And I have to say no. If more people had a better education and a better understanding about the stock market would be far less volatile. That probably would be very bad for HFTs and others who are speculators who take advantage of the emotion and the fear and the panic that people have. It would be far more stable, and it would be more consistent. And sure, there would be times that it would go down, but it would never go down in catastrophic, huge, wild, crazy swings or spectacular rises that are not sustainable. It would be a more moderate market in every term. So for the speculators and for those who make money off of other people's panic and fear and make money off of other people's desire to buy something because they think they can make a lot of money on it, the greed factor, that would hurt them because the market would be a lot less volatile. So as more people gain education and understand the market, volatility would actually start to decline slowly over time. But you have to understand that only a tiny portion of the whole American society has any knowledge whatsoever that's of any value to them as far as financial markets. The bulk of the everyday people have no idea what they're doing. Maybe they're investing for themselves, or maybe they've turned it over to a financial planner, but even still, they're not involved, and so they really don't know. And what happens is if they get really scared, they're going to go and they're going to demand redemption on their mutual funds and pull their money out. And that can cause catastrophic downtrends, because if there's so many people redeeming mutual funds, then the stock market has to go down because the mutual funds are forced to sell stock, provide the redemption money back to the mutual fund holders. So there's a lot going on. I think that a lack of knowledge, a lack of education, fear, greed, and panic fuel the volatility, make things more extreme than they need to be. And I think that if more people were educated, it would balance the markets out and they would be far more stable. I'm Martha Stokes, and until next week, trade and invest with knowledge.
There's so much emotionally charged hype out there designed to sell newspapers and advertising rather than inform investors and traders. Want entertainment? Buy a newspaper or magazine or turn on the news. Want investment and trading concepts explained? Look to TechniTrader. TechniTrader is the gold standard in trading and investing education taught by experienced and accredited professionals. Don't learn to trade from fad-chasing day traders, and certainly don't think you can grow your portfolio by attending a weekend seminar or watching a free video online. Success in the financial markets is attainable, but like any high-paying profession, it requires the proper education to achieve consistent success. Join those happy few who've taken their investing and trading seriously. Call 888-846-5577 or visit technitrader.com.